Hi there and welcome to this video, and the first of I hope is a series on a beginner using the AI tools within the game development engine Unity. My name's Adam, and to set up a bit of context for this video, I'm basically just going to be jumping straight in from the start of the process. Now, I did record a video on this which lasted for about half an hour until the technology failed on me, so it's not going to be true one for one for what I went through the first time looking at it, but hopefully I can give you a bit more of a cleaner run through of the sign up process for the beta and the beginning of my journey. So yeah, just to go a little bit further into that context, I will probably do another video about myself, a little bit of my personal history in game development, but to quickly frame it for this video, I'm basically a beginner. I have used Unity in the past. I've run through the tutorials before. I've created a couple of little short games based off those tutorials, but just due to life circumstances and hobbies and other things getting in the way, I just haven't had the time to commit to game development. But of course, with the popularity of AI tools, generative tools, LLMs becoming mainstream, I've seen the opportunity to potentially jump in and not needing to spend as much time on game development, but still get the enjoyment out of it that I'm looking for. My dream as a kid was to be a game developer, but just due to different circumstances, I haven't had that opportunity. I feel like it's closer than ever now with all of these new tools that are popping up. And in this series, I'm going to be running through using the Unity tools. So as you can see on my screen here, I've got an email from Unity inviting me to the closed beta for Sentis. They've also got another tool called Muse. We're probably going to be looking at Muse in this video, but just a quick note on Sentis, Muse, and the sign-up process first before we get into it. So around about March or May, it might have been, of 2023, Unity put out to the world for expressions of interest around their AI tools to join their beta program. At the time, they had talked about Sentis and Muse, I believe, in a blog post. I gave a quick rundown or a real high-level overview of what they are and what they're trying to achieve with the tools. However, the sign-up sheet wasn't really clear on which one you'd be using or if there were other tools involved. It was just to be a part of the closed beta. As I've gone through in my previous video, I've seen that it's kind of both. It's also a part of their new discussions platform. So if you're familiar with Unity before, or if you aren't, Unity have had a traditional forum sort of set up for all the different developers and designers and what have you in game development to jump in and share their experiences and ask for help and whatnot. Looks like they've launched a new forum called Discussions. It's currently in beta as well. It looks much cleaner. I've had a quick look, much easier to get around, much easier to save things and keep up with the conversations you're involved in. So that's looking good. But it was a bit confusing jumping in to the beta for these tools because it looked very different to the forums, that I wasn't too sure what was going on there, but that's just a heads up. So back to the sign up part of the beta. I put in my details, of course, and then months later, of course, we've now got the closed beta invites. Many of you, if you've already seen these before yourself, you'll have these same emails. I've been a bit slack getting around to this. It's been 10 days since I've had this sitting in my inbox, but I actually tried this first. Now, I won't follow through on this link. I just wanted to touch on Sentis. This is probably a bit more advanced for me. I'm coming in from a beginner's perspective. From what my understanding is, Sentis is more around machine learning, so things like upscaling textures, swapping graphical styles, looking at things like generative chats with NPCs, stuff like that I'm kind of interested in. Don't get me wrong, I'll most likely be checking this out further along, but I feel like I need a little bit more experience before I jump into what Sentis is. However, I did click through to get started. What pops up is an invite to join the forum and then get involved with downloading the Sentis tools and start using it in your project. But from what I saw, you need to be fairly well into your understanding of game development to use Sentis, so I won't really be covering that. I just wanted to call that out. What we're going to do now is look at Unity. Now, I won't be able to click through here and show you what the invite is. I haven't tried it since I did it the first time, but what happened was it popped up into a window to accept an invitation and took me through to the forum. let's see what it does. It may do the same thing. I would have liked to have given you an idea of what it looks like. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so the only thing that's different here is I've got a message telling me that I've already redeemed this invite link. So what you'll get is something similar. You won't have that, but you'll have like an accept button. Note that you'll need a Unity user ID to join in. So if you're someone who's just heard about this technology, never used Unity before, you'll need to sign up to Unity first. Of course, you can just go to unity.com and jump in and sign up. There'll be a button up here where you can use to log in and run through the sign up. That's free to do. You may be able to do that through this area, like through this Unity ID button. Not too sure. Like I said, I've already signed in before, so I accepted the invitation and went through to the forum. We'll have a look at that in a tick. So this is the kind of an email you'll get. Gives you a quick high-level overview of what Muse will do, and for what my limited playing with Muse already is, it's basically like a chat bot interface, kind of like ChatGPT if you used it, or Bing Chat, which uses uses the GPT models in the back end, or Google's Claude. So very similar sort of an interface. The difference between those models and this one is that Muse has been trained on Unity's own resources, so their documentation, their scripting references, their tutorials, release notes was the other one I saw in their guide. From my understanding, it doesn't look at things like the forums, and it doesn't go to any other external sources such as the internet or Stack Overflow or any other forums or what have you. It's purely just within their in their resource library. So the exciting thing, of course, about Muse is it is something that you can chat to if you want to ask your questions on how to do something within the Unity editor. That's obviously where the gold is, and it's something that's going to be beneficial to me as a beginner. So what you can do is click on Chat with Muse if you've got the invite. Otherwise, anybody from my understanding can just get to this. Again, you'll need a Unity ID, so not everybody, but you'll need a Unity ID first. But I did test this previously, so if I jump into a private window and just go to the same URL, you'll see here I can quite easily get to this this interface. Now let me just check, because I may have got that wrong. It did say you need a Unity ID, but we'll just check and see if this works. It looks like... No, yeah, okay, so it redirects you to sign in or create a Unity ID, but it gives you a quick look at the interface. But for us, we're signed in, we're ready to go. As you can see here, pretty familiar type of an interface. You've got the chat where you can ask anything. You've got some inspirations to get you started. One of the pieces of feedback I'd give to Unity was probably setting a bit of context with this. You do have that, of course, in the email here, but for someone who's really a beginner and has ignored maybe some of these large language models or the chat interfaces to those, the bots, those sort of things, maybe you want to set them up with what that is first and what it is in relation to Unity Muse, because like I said before, Unity Muse doesn't use any external sources, it's all internal. So you might want to make that clear. Maybe they've heard about a chat LLM before and think, oh, I can jump in here and ask about what would Unreal do, for example, an Unreal Engine, what would that do versus what Unity would do with a particular component or function within Unity. It's not going to be able to do that, from my understanding. It's just going to be purely looking at the references within the Unity documentation. So it's not going to understand Unreal because it may not have been trained on that sort of on that anyway. Plus, it's not going to get access to any of the Unreal documentation because it is just been trained on what's available in the public models of GPT, and then what we've got here in Unity. I'll take that back. I may be wrong about what it's been trained on the public models. I do believe it's using the OpenAI GPT large language model, just based off some of the stuff I've seen in the documentation. But I can't confirm that for sure. But I do know for a fact they've got it listed down in their FAQ that it is trained on their own documentation. So keep that in mind. The only other things to call out here are probably the dots down here. I thought this was really cool. You can specify the Unity editor version for this to search. If you're not familiar with game development, look, even though I'm a beginner, I still keep my finger on the pulse when it comes to these things. So Typically, in traditional game development, it can take months or years for you to develop a game, and quite often you may start on an earlier version of the game engine, whether it's Unity, Unreal, or Godot, or any of the others that are out there. So, for example, you may have started on 22.2, and then months later you release your game and you're up to 2023.1. Of course, you'll want to make sure you choose the model that suits you, because there may be some new features or new code that's now in the newer versions. It may not relate to what you've been using in the previous versions, so different features get depreciated or replaced by others. Good example is Sentis. Sentis is actually replacing Barracuda, which was the machine learning capability within Unity previously. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it's great that you can switch between the different versions of the documentation here. So the last time I actually tried this, I got an internal server error. It looked like it was down. I couldn't find anything anywhere to tell me about a server status updates. I'd imagine because this is in beta, that's probably going to happen a fair bit. The other thing I will point out, I haven't got to it yet because I haven't even looked at the Unity editor and playing with Muse in the editor. From what I can understand, this is separate to the editor. I don't know if you could load it up maybe in a plugin for the Unity editor. That'd be handy, but as you can see here, it's just a simple browser window interface. So I'm going to choose one of their options. I did try and type something in for my initial demo on the video that failed, and I got a server error. I tried one of these again, it didn't work, but then I tried again about 5 minutes later and it worked, so fingers crossed. I think I used this one that worked. How do I make a simple inventory system? Oh, I'll need to click that again. For some reason I wonder if I'm still logged in. We'll soon find out. Yep. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So that's something new. So this didn't happen before. There we go. It's finally done it. It looks like there's a couple of little bugs and funny things going on here with the UI. Oh, great. And it is working. Excellent. So we've got a response. So the other things to call out now that I'm in this sort of, the user interface has changed slightly once I've entered in my question, and I've now got some more controls and options on the side here. The first one to call out is clear chat. If I click that, it will just clear this chat. I'm not going to get rid of that just yet because we want to have a look at the response. Chat history, as you can see, is coming soon. That's a feature that's in things like Bing Chat and in ChatGPT. Obviously something they're going to implement themselves. Additional resources. So this is handy. I thought this was a really cool feature. Seen as though it is something in-house with Unity, they can link you out to their resources. Now, from what I understand, it isn't contextual yet based off what you're searching, but that might be cool to see. I don't know if that's coming, but it is just some general information here, and it is related to artificial intelligence. So AI, machine learning, something about the new releases here on unity.com, links out to the blog, Learn, YouTube, and the documentation. So that's quite handy to have those sort of links there, and I really do like that. But yeah, so as we see back up here, we've got your typical sort of feedback options that you can give. Now, when I was reading the FAQ on this, it mentioned that there's a note option, but I can't see. So to provide my feedback, so what can I do here? I think this might be a download. It isn't popping up with a tooltip, so I'm not sure. There we go. I haven't got a tooltip there for that. I'm assuming that just downloads. Let's click it and see what happens. Oh, it puts it into a code file. That's great. There we go. So if I open that up, oh, that's going to open up, oh, my window's all mucked up here. Oops. I'll close that for the moment, but I'd opened up into VS Code and gave me the actual script, or the code into a file for me. That's a really cool feature, I like that. I can also just copy it straight away and paste it into whatever I need. So let's have a look. Boom, there we go, just got onto the notepad there. Even a little bit of formatting there on the with the spaces for the code blocks. And of course, yeah, I've got my feedback options here, so I'm just going to click like and see. Okay, great. So this is one of the questions I had when I was making the initial video, which was how does the feedback work? In the FAQ, it does ask for thumbs up, thumbs down, and note, and it wasn't really clear on where that note appears, if that was separate to the thumbs up and thumbs down, but it looks like here you can give context on why you gave it a positive or a negative rating, so I really do like that. You can also give general feedback via the Unity discussions, which is the new forum, and we'll have a quick look at that in a moment. Copy text. I wonder what this one does. I wonder if this is everything in that thread. Yeah, it is too. So that's if you've used the other chat, the chat LLMs out there, chat bots, you get an option to copy everything that's in the response as well, so that's handy. Yeah, so pretty cool so far. I'm going to ask it something else now. What was I trying to do? Let me do clear chat. We'll start again. I think my initial question was something like, I'm new to development and Unity Muse. Can you help me get started? Now I'm predicting this is going to fail because I don't think this is like a typical chatbot where it gets context and generates a response based off that. I think it's more trained on the data that's within the Unity resources. So I don't think this will be covered, but let's see what it does. I like that it's got musing here too, as it's sort of thinking or loading response. Now this is a surprise. It is actually coming back with something. So when I tried this initially, I did get an error, but it seems to be working, and I'm pleased with this. This is great. So, welcome to Unity Development. I'm here to help get you started. Unity Muse is a term that refers to me, the Unity AI assistant. I can help you with your Unity-related questions and guide you through the development process. To start with Unity, you'll need to download and install the Unity editor, which allows you to create 2D and 3D games, apps, and experiences. You can download the editor at unity3d.com. Once installed, you can... I wonder if that's true, unity3d.com. So that gives So you can see here we've got footnotes as well. I think this just goes to their documentation by the looks of things. Yeah, it does as well. Unity3d.com. Well, this is interesting. It redirects. Because that was an old one from when I used Unity years ago. But look, yeah, great, handy link. I was at a couple of clicks and I've got through to where I needed to go. I won't go through. Let's just try and cut through to figure out the good stuff. Okay, so looking at that, it's actually a fairly generic response, and it doesn't look like it's really up to date with Muse. You notice I asked it about Muse. I might try and poke it again. What is Unity Muse? This will be interesting to see if... here we go. My purpose is to help answer questions guided Unity engine. It did actually, to be fair, it did say that in its previous response, but I guess I wanted a bit more of a overview. That's probably not fair too. It is a reasonable overview here, giving me, I am a beginner, so it is pointing me out to some stuff, but I guess I'm probably not asking it the right questions of what I'm specifically after. But I think we'll move on from there to save me going back and forth, and we'll have a look at the discussions forum. So let's see if we can get to it from here. I can get to the blog. Learn. I wonder, what is the link for Unity discussions? Let's see if it does this. So, forum.unity, so that's the old one. So maybe on slightly out of date information, and like I said, it's not, I don't think it's connecting to the internet. It's just for its responses, something like the Google Bard does. I think it's simply just, or Bard or Claude, whichever one it's called. I think it's just using what it knows, and it may be out of date information, because from my understanding, it is along the lines of discussions. Okay, so this is taking me something where I've been to before. This is actually handy, it's gone here. So when I click through on the Sentis email, it did take me through to this interface and discussions. First time seeing this, being impressed. It looks like this is the new version of the forums. It looks fantastic. But yeah, it gives you a good overview of Sentis, and this was actually really good. It was a bit beyond my pay grade. I'm not quite there yet, but it was interesting to have a bit of a peruse through this, and I'll be definitely coming back to this once I get more experience. But what I'm after is Muse Chat. So the good thing is it's the first one up here. There is one thing I noticed on the side here. So I think it mentions the link here in Muse Chat Beta, this discussion thread. But it was the release notes, and I noticed that it's not... I might not just be seeing it, but I can't really... It's not pinned. It's not something that's front of mind here. And I think even when I went to... pretty sure it was called Release Notes. Okay, so I didn't get this before. Muse Chat Release Notes. Before it actually failed and couldn't find it. But again, it looks like this forum is in beta as well, so you might get the odd issue here and there. But this is great. This is what I wanted to see. So Release Notes, handy to keep up with this, with the updates to Muse, you're going to see some things where you can, here we go, copy a response for a code sample, download it. So this is all the new stuff that had been developed. This has only just been out, like I got the invite, when was this? 2 days ago, so it is pretty fresh. So I was a little bit surprised seeing it this date. It wasn't too long ago, but I would have thought it might have been further along, but this is really quite fresh, pre-release 1.0. So obviously closed beta, they're getting us right in from the start, which is great to see. So we'll be able to see this develop as time goes on. But just as a quick side note with the forums, when you first log in, you get like a little wizard that takes you through how to use the forums. Quite handy. One of them I found was to follow, so I'm basically just watching this thread. So whenever it gets updated, I'm going to get a notification up in my notification areas, I believe, which is up here. Yeah, so I can jump in and check on how that one's going. Let's just clean up some of my tabs here. But yeah, so the other one it's going to take you to in that email, once you do click the join the discussion, accept the invite, it's going to take you into this thread here. So again, another great overview. I haven't looked at this video yet. I'm assuming it looks familiar. This might be the one when Unity first announced their AI tools and talked about Muse. Very high level. Might be handy to look at that again. I won't look at it in this video, but I do recommend you read through this. So I've had a quick read through. The highlights when I was reading through it was just trying to confirm what LLM it's using in the background. I believe it's a GPT model, so from OpenAI. They mentioned that they've licensed third-party LLMs, and it is trained on the Unity resources, which again, I mentioned it was somewhere along the lines of... oh, here we go. There we go. It's confirmed right down there. So I missed this the first time reading through it. OpenAI LLM. So it is trained on the OpenAI models. Yeah, really good idea for to just spend some time reading through this to get a sort of an understanding, a contextual understanding of what it's used for and how it would be beneficial to you. This one's a big one for me. The intention for building a Unity-specific solution that leverages generative AIs to help creators realize their ideas faster using Unity. It would alleviate creators from figuring out the how and focusing on what they want to create. The learning curve will be flattened, and it will lower the barriers to getting started with Unity, further allowing users to explore other Unity product offerings. So obviously there's going to be a cost benefit to Unity. If you get more people into your engine, you're going to get them spending potentially more on the Unity stores and getting that revenue from the share when it comes to licensing out your game and whatnot like that. So it makes sense. The other game engines are doing it as well. We've seen Unreal start to do it. The Roblox engine's doing it as well. It's going to become a mainstay, as it is with all technologies. But if you're ever unsure, I mean, Unity lay it out right here. And I think that might wrap it up for this video. I'm going to try and take you along with me on this journey. I'm really excited to jump into this. Like I said, I'll probably do a separate video on my passions and my background, but basically I want to make it easier for me to get in and understand the ins and outs of game development, try and get my ideas out onto the game engine and playing it with a controller in my hand or on my keyboard. Really excited to see what's capable of. If you'd like to see anything particular, please let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this one? I'd love to hear your feedback as well. Drop a like on it if you liked it, a dislike if you didn't like it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.